according to reports, moving helter-skelter, trying to see what they can put on ground to mitigate the impact of the flood. In Rivers State, what is the situation with regards to plans that the committee have ahead of the impending flood? Hello, Mr. Gbara, if you can hear me.
Hello.
Yes. So what's the plan of the committee so far ahead of the impending flood?
Okay. Prior to this time, upon my assumption in office as the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Environment, we have taken some proactive steps in respect to, as a prerequisite action, in respect to advice from for the impending flood in the states that outlined some local government councils that will be affected. We have distilled through the government of Rivers State has distilled some major canals in the state, and we have equally carried out a robust campaign to our people, advising them not to dispose waste in the drains when it's raining, because those waste get to a point and block the drains. We have had lots of jingles on radio, and we have our personnel that are out there moving from one major market to the other, even into the local markets, to talk to the market women, because we have seen that they are the major culprits of those who throw dump waste in the drains, believing that the water will take it out to the canal, not knowing that at some point it will block the drain. So we can see that even up till now, this is September getting to October, we have not, witnessed such heavy flooding like we used to have it in the States. I would say that it's because of the proactiveness of the states through our ministry. And now, the governor of Rivers State have capped it up with the formation of this special committee on flood, headed by Her Excellency Professor Mrs. Ngozi, or the Deputy Governor of the state. And the committee is now taking it up from where the ministry, stopped. We've given our terms of reference to ensure that we now take it to the nook and crannies of River State. Right. We are now going to expand our operations by involving all the LGA chairmen, so to see to it that whatever we are doing in the state is replicated in all the local governments that has been forecasted will be affected. We've equally decided that this committee that we have in the state will be replicated in all the LGAs. That's why we're inculcating all the local government chairmen. Right. So any moment from now, the state is going to see a robust drive and activities from the states to ensure that we protect our people from any impending flood.
All right.
We are equally going to, going to look at areas that will be designated.
All right. Before we get into all of those details,
sites for people that might be displaced, because we know that this flood sometimes is not only about activities of man. Some are natural causes. Overflowing of water bank of the river and all that. So we are going to do a lot, including embankment, shore protection, and several other things.
All right. If you let me come up with a few questions to follow up on some of the things you've highlighted. I'll start with the last one you just said, shore protection and all. Which communities have you earmarked for these projects, these shoreline protections? Which of the communities have been earmarked for this? Also, you talked about the canals that have been desilted. Which of these canals have been desilted? Can you give us names of the canals in which of the communities that have been desilted? Because we've had reports from several rivers people talking about how, especially the problem with flash floods. I'll give an instance with the NTA Road. It's a disaster once we have heavy rainfall. Eligbolo, we had someone complain about the situation in Eligbolo in the past couple of days. It's been disastrous. They even went as far as putting up some community effort to get, the equipment to come, clear up the drain. So the desilting activities, where have they been carried out? And the shoreline protection you mentioned, where is the target? Where is that going to happen?
Yeah, hello, are you with me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. We have a part of River State where we come as the Oceania, those who are at the coastline. There are a whole lot of communities that have been earmarked, that we are going to carry out this operation.
Which of
Whether
them?
there's going to be flood or not, it is part of the program of the state government as a project to ensure that we protect those shorelines. These are deliberate projects that will be given out as contracts to ensure that all these communities, whether there is going to be flood or not, we are not going to wait for our communities to be ravaged with flood before we know that we are going to do that. We have earmarked a lot of communities, some in Okrika local government, some in Akugutoro, some in Andone, and the rest of the other riverine areas. There are a whole lot of them that I can't start enumerating right now. But any moment from now, we are going to see those jobs being carried out from the state government.
All right. We have a commercial coming, so we'll just try and put in one more question before we go on the break. What are you doing differently compared to what other committees set up have done? At the moment, we haven't started experiencing the flood in its intense form.
Yes, what we are doing differently from what it has been before is that our operation is not limited within a period. Our operation is ongoing and is continuous. That is why we have opened up our office for complaints and suggestions. And a lot of people have been reaching us through their mails to come and tell us how their areas are, because sometimes the government might forecast area A, while area B will be the one to be affected, because sometimes this comes as a natural cause. You understand me? So we cannot say because NEMA predicted there will be flood in Ahoda West, I will concentrate on only Ahoda West, forgetting that there are other local governments within that area. It could be Abodua. Maybe Abodua will not be forecasted, but Abodua may be affected too. So what we have done is we have left our doors open. Any moment from now, the committee is equally going to give out what we call emergency lines.
All right, hold your thoughts.
Where people can reach us.
Let's take this short commercial. We'll come back and you continue on this line of thoughts. Please stay on the line for us. Conversation continues on the Morning Crossfire. I'm still speaking with the Commissioner for Environment, Sydney Gbara. And, he's been trying to give us insight into what the flood committee set up by the Rivers State government, headed by the Deputy Governor of Rivers State, intends to do and how they want to go about ensuring that those that would be affected by the flood get some form of relief. And he said, well, even prior to this time, the Minister of Environment have been up to some activities that has led to the not so much impact that we have witnessed if we look around Rivers State, especially with the rains that we've experienced in the past couple of months. So we did not get the level of flooding that we usually have when it rains because the ministry had been proactive and had been going around with desilting activities, sensitization programs, etc., etc. But now with the committee set up, that would be expedited at an exponential rate, and they also intend to carry along all local government chairmen once they get into office. Well, aside that, let us find out what is the plan for IDP camps. Are we going to set up any? What is the plan with relief materials? And what is also the plan for school children that could be affected? Because if schools are affected, it means those children would be out of school for the time being. So what then happens? How do they get catch up with their peers who would continue with the curriculum regardless of the flood or not? All of these would hope to find out from my guest. In the meantime, on Facebook, it is Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Again, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. That's the Facebook handle. We're streaming live, so get on Facebook and join us. I'll take a few of your messages on Facebook already. Basil says it's a good plan to follow. The problem we have with our government is that they might bring up an issue to do before you know anybody would hear about that issue again. Nobody would hear, okay, and the project dies a natural death. If they would follow up their plans, it would be a good thing. Godwin Akwanwo says, good morning, Ifemi, and to your guests. There should be sensitization carried out and campaigns and adverts concerning this pressing issue against earlier wise decisions, taking them to higher grounds, and all these drainages, keeping them in order. This is a political approach because government has failed to do what is right, to fail to do the right thing at the right time. At the Oji or KOCC, that one came in from you. We're trying to re-establish contact with my guest. I'll first go over to the phone lines so we get your opinion and the contributions that you want to make. It's simple. What suggestions would you give? What suggestions would you give the committee to help them do their work differently? We've had flood committees before. It's not the first time. And many people, honestly, have not been satisfied with the level of work that was done. So what should this one do to get it differently? 0817 923 0002 0817 923 0003. I'll take those numbers again. 0817 923 0002 and 0817 923 0003. Now, any of these numbers would give you access to us in the studio. Let's hear your thoughts. And also, the place you live, what's the situation? Does it get flooded when it rains? Or in the past where you've had flood situations, how was it handled and what do you think should be done differently this time? Isaiah in Buguma, let's start with you. Good morning.
Andrew,
yes.
Once again, I greet you specially and the Honorable Commissioner of Environment. I greet you, sir. It's Andrew. Please, let me ask this question. Today, if you are cooking rice, do you hear that natural order that God put in rice? It is because human being has decided to move the hand of God out of the natural investment that God has given to us, the beauty that God has added to His creation. And that is why today you find out that most of the floods, they are not natural disasters. They are caused by human factors because human being has decided. Now you can see the proactiveness of this government trying to pass information earlier before now. And that has led to cause most of these blockages that lead to the drainage and all of this place. I think, in my addition, I would say that kudos to them, and they should do more, because early detection in every sickness, in every affliction, is the best affliction. I mean, it is the best way to stay away from that affliction. So I beg them to go as far as doing more things so that our people will not cry.
All right, Isaiah.
We don't want to hear the usual cry and devastation from our people.
Thank you. Ezekiel from Ubimini, good morning.
Good morning, CM Andrew.
All right, Ezekiel, go ahead.
I have a question for the Honorable Commissioner in the studio. My question is this. Does the environment and its environs exist only in urban areas? What happened to the rural areas where we have ecological problems, erosions, and other things that may fall down people's building? Probably trees which may be eaten up by the erosion may also fall on a roof of a particular person. So they should please extend their operation and hands to the rural areas to see what the rural areas are seeing in the typical villages. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ezekiel. Well, I was still trying to establish contact. As soon as we do, we get response. But I think some things were mentioned along the lines of shoreline protection and other plans that they are looking at for some of these communities in the hinterlands to help protect them against erosion and flooding. Robin is in Echie. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
Yeah, you're welcome, Robin.
And greeting to our guest, the Honorable Commissioner for Environment. Before I contribute, I would like to ask him a question. Since he assumed duty as Honorable Commissioner for Environment, have he visited the flood-prone areas in River State, particularly the Ngene axis in Ahoda West, the Ekpe axis in Ahoda West, Abu Ahodwan, Ahoda East axis, and all that area that were captured.
The Orashi region in general.
When they gave us this forecast in the early of the year. Talking about shoreline, how do you do or carry out a construction of shoreline when we're in the middle of the problem? We were warned right from January, February. You see, you cannot do one thing the same way and expect a different result. I want to suggest to them. So the government, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't listen. They think those who talk, they are talking nonsense. If the committee do not create 11 offices within the locals, the best way where this thing is going to happen, it will not work. Holding meeting in government house, deputy governor's office, it will not work. They should create 11 offices in the area so that the people can easily get to those who are going to man those offices. This is my contribution this morning. Good morning, Robin Mada, the farmer.
All right, Dakuku is on the line from Echie. Dakuku, good morning.
Good morning, I guess, yeah.
All right, thank you. Go on, Dakuku.
This is Dakuku from Abok Echie.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you, I guess. I know this flood of Echie, it has been started for many years ago now, which everybody knows that every year it always occur in various states, like River State and some local governments in River State. Whichever we know that the preparation has to be made before the time. Like coming up now doing this, is it something emergency? Or we know that this is always occur before every time of the year from August to October for them to prepare and know where to keep those flood victims. And secondly, I want to ask him if at all they are prepared well not to be talking on air telling us they have been prepared, but there was no prepared. Like previous government, it suffered a lot of people. The Minister of Health is doing that thing. But this was, but I made mind to make sure that everything was ended in River State. But you don't they have solution in River State. We have to dig dam or whatever. So this is what will not happen in River State again.
All right. Thank you. We'll take one more from Letambari, then we'll go back to my guest who's on the line. Letambari, good morning.
Good morning, Ichimi, Andrew.
Okay.
And good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Yes, for me, I want to commend the state government for taking these valuable steps that has been a problem in my mind. And again, I must say thank you, our governor, the best governor we have in River State. You have done well. But I want to say that another problem with flood we are having is that there is what we call man-made flood, which is caused by construction companies. I have complained about this severally. For instance, let me take a look at the good work that is done in Kana local government, the internal road that is being done. Now, other roads have been tarred. They've constructed other ones. Then the main one that links from which is the Poly Road, I think instead of patching that road, they would have looked at the drainage, because the drainage is very tiny and cannot be able to accommodate water when there is heavy rainfall. I have complained about this for several times. They are busy patching along by the side of the road. That road is supposed to be a dual carriageway if the state government really thinks good about us. But I know he has a good intention. I don't know if he's been diverted by those who are advising him. If not, that road is supposed to be a dual carriageway with a large drainage that can be able to contain enough water when there is heavy rainfall. The whole of that road gets flooded when there is heavy rainfall. So I don't know if this area can be treated and be looked at by the state government.
All right, Letambari, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Sidney, so quite a lot has been said over from the listener, and I'll just highlight a few of them and get your response. Some people have said the idea of putting up liaison offices in the communities, and not just to have meetings with the committee and the Ministry of Environment in Port Harcourt, the government house, and then in the communities, there's no way for the communities to reach members of the committee and let them know what the situation is. So how are you intending to do that? Or is that something that you have planned out?
Yes, I earlier mentioned it. Maybe the person didn't get this point well when I was making my speech. I've said that the committee that just been inaugurated by the governor, that we are inculcating the 23 local government chairmen so that just as we have it in the state, it could be equally be replicated in the 23, in the local government that are being earmarked. First and foremost, we are going to face those local governments that have been earmarked of this impending flood. Not that we are leaving every other local government out. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. All the local government that have been earmarked by NEMA that this flood may likely occur in, we are inculcating all their local government chairmen, and so that they will equally replicate this committee we have in the state here in their various local governments, so that if there are issues in any of the community, they have people to run to immediately, who will go there on the spot assessment and then report back to us. So I said that, and we have that in place already. So that, and I equally was trying to explain to you that we're going to have designated lines for emergency. And this designated line for emergency, we're equally going to replicate same in the various local governments so that people can easily call. Because when these things are happening, it might be very late hour in the night. Some might even, some places can be flooded all through the night, and by afternoon it has dried up. But it is good that if you have people that can quickly go there, because only when you go there and see the extent of the flood, that you can now think of how you can mitigate, to tackle it. So that has been put in place.
So what is...
I'm meeting with all the local government chairmen
and then we are going to start and have this in place.
So what is the plan? What is the plan to address relief materials, IDP camps, and most importantly, in areas where the flood could affect school buildings? Is there a plan for how those children in the schools would still continue with schooling despite what would happen? How is the committee looking at handling those?
Yes, we have already looked at. We have taken the topography of River State into consideration. Some areas are the earmarked as the highland, some as in the earmarked to the lowland area. These lowland areas are the ones that are easily prone to. And within these lowland areas, we have some residentials and some too. We have, public facilities like schools, not just schools, maybe some of the health centers and what have you. So I equally said it earlier that we are equally looking at possible places, for, immediate evacuation. That is why we need the local government chairman to be part of us, because, for instance, my brother that spoke last is talking about Bori. As a Bori boy, I know every area about Bori, and I understand immediately where he is talking about and what that problem is. And what he's saying is the very correct thing to be done. Well, I don't know. It is, sometimes these programs, we don't do it just for promoting a government, but we do it to hear from the people, because just as we are on air, everybody in River State is listening, and we're going to transmit them, to the authorities to say, this program, these are some of the thoughts of the feeling the pulse of the people and reporting back. And I can tell you that that problem, that issue by the last caller made is very, very correct. And I can tell you that the state will do something about it.
There are those who also say the activities of the Ring Road project in some areas is also constituting flood.
Yes, the activities of the Ring Road, yes. We've got complaints. I've gotten lots of complaints in my office from residents of such areas. And so what I want to do is that now that we have a committee, we are going to, put all that, into the functions of the committee. We will visit such areas. It's not only the Ring Road that is causing this problem. Some of the drainage, some of the streets, internal streets of some residential areas too, where they have to dig out drainage, maybe expand the drainage or what have you. They equally have such issues. There is a place within NTA Road that my attention has been drawn to. I have gone there to see things for myself, and it was very, very horrible. So we're going to put all that into the committee, and we're going to see all those spots and see what we can do. Maybe talk to the construction companies to ensure that they make provision. Where they are making provision for traffic, where alternative route for traffic, they should equally make provision for water in case it rains, so that it will move and discharge, properly, and not displacing people or disturbing businesses. If you go to some streets now, some areas, you will see that their businesses are under serious threat because of some of these activities. So we're going to put all that into the committee and address
some messages here. Elgo Ojene just is saying that they have not been seen actively efforts by the government to clear drainages and canals and desilt them. They've not actively seen. I, for one, would also say, I haven't really seen, especially in areas where we know that these things happen. And most times when people even empty the gutters or the drainages, the waste or the dirt that they evacuate from the drainage are dropped on the side of the road. They're not removed. You see them, it stays there forever. That's it. That's the end. They bring it out and keep it on the road, and that's it. Is that also going to be the situation? And would also need to give me some more specifics as to what is the plan for those children that might be out of school because of the flood? Is there something on ground that you have looked at to say this is how they would continue schooling regardless of whether their school building or structure is affected by the flood? If you can respond to these two.
Yeah, I can assure you that no student will be out of school because of flood, because alternative treatment will immediately be put in place in such places to ensure that they still continue, their academic scheme.
And relief materials, do we have those sorted out already?
Of course, yes.
What's the situation with the relief materials?
That is the basic. Yes, of course, we are going to have relief materials. Any area that is affected, we are going to have relief materials. That is a sure bet. We are going to have relief materials that will come in.
The relief materials that were used before, are those the same relief materials that we are using again, or are we buying new beds, new mosquito nets, new? What is exactly the situation?
No, of course it can't be. Are they recycled relief materials? Something that you have given to people to use. They have used it, and maybe sometimes the situation that was on ground at that time is no longer there, and probably have gone back to their residential areas where they were staying. You can't even imagine that. We are going to have assessments. You know, these relief materials will come as a result of where these things happen. Relief materials come in different forms. When we say relief material, in some places, it might be medication. That's why the Commissioner for Health is a member of the committee. It might be medication. It's not just about items. Sometimes what the people might need is just food. In other areas, they need other things like beddings, mattresses, and what have you. So it all depends on what we see that is the immediate need of such people that have been affected. But I can tell you generally, medication is one area a lot of people don't think of. We equally know that very serious flooded areas comes with its own pandemic too in the area of health. You know, we see a lot of things, more mosquitoes. Sometimes you see outbreak of cholera because of some of these, maybe the germs that have been transported maybe from wherever to where, and people contact it as a result of it. So everything that has to be consumable, every consumable that we think the people will have, we are making arrangements to keep them on standby.
All right.
As soon as it happens, we are going to reach out.
Let's take this one from Jerry. That's
the mandate the governor.
Jerry says, till now, the government is still doing, we will. I'm not happy with that statement. We were one since January till now, and you're asking questions, but it is, this government is not proactive, Jerry says. I think for him, what he's basically saying is we've not seen enough. And it brings me to what I was saying. We have few seconds. What is happening with the clearing of the drainages, the silting around Obiakpo, Ikure Council, Port Harcourt? Because we seem not to have seen a lot of action in that regard. In few seconds.
Earlier before now, through the Ministry of Fisheries, that was before I was State Commissioner. I know some of the canals have been disputed, but we still have a lot of others. Like within the Eliozu axis, we are still a massive area where we are going to commence operations soon. Within the Eliozu axis, there's a canal around there that will be visited soon, and several other places have been marked. Why this will be going on? The city will be carried out, and I can assure you
Thank
that
you.
we are going to.
We have to wrap it up for a commercial now.
To ensure that
thank you very much. Good morning.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The Lord our Righteousness Prophetic Tabernacle Outreach celebrates